Why financial coaching? Why am I doing this? I get asked that pretty often. What compels me to help people with their finances? Why is this a thing? Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you why. When I was fresh out of college, I took a temp job with an agency. And because I had my first job out of college, I could now afford a car. So I was told. Well, the car that I was driving was then given to my sister. It was my parents' car. And I was marched right down to the car loan, to the car dealership, and brought a brand new 2011 Ford Fiesta. It was their lowest cost model. I had a 6-year car loan. After that, I got my first full-time job and moved out of my parents' house. My student loans came due, and I had all these payments. I had a car loan payment. I had legitimately 18 different student loans to pay, and I had stepped right into the paycheck to paycheck cycle of living. I had no wiggle room in my budget. Well, I really looked forward to seeing my friends once a week. I had stopped dancing so much because I couldn't afford the payments to get in, but I was really looking forward to seeing my friends. And while I was at my second job, an email went around with a sign-up sheet for what to bring to the potluck. By the time I got home, the only thing left was a fruit salad. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you're super price conscious, but when you don't have 2 nickels to rub together, and you look at it and somebody else took ice and another person took chips, and the host was making the main course, which was the most expensive thing. The second most expensive thing on the menu on that sign-up list was a fruit salad. I was only living on maybe $30, $35 on a good week, $40 of food allowance, for myself every single week. That fruit salad was like 2 days of eating for me. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't make the fruit salad. So I had a few choices. I could tell them that I was bringing something else that to me was admitting defeat. I could just bring something else and say, oh yeah, I forgot, which was lying. I could have put it on my credit card and told myself that I would pay for it later, but I already knew that problem a little too intimately. And so I emailed and said, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to make it tonight. And then I sat on my bed and I cried because I couldn't afford a fruit salad. The next day, after a good cry, you sleep really well. The next day, I prayed about it and decided to pay off my debt, to really get on a tight budget and tackle all of my loans. The moment that I paid off my first Perkins loan, I was so overjoyed. I was excited. I put all 18 loans in an order. And while logging in, I would select the lowest loan and pay more on that as much as I could at the end of every month. The moment I finished paying off all of my Perkins loans and that monthly payment disappeared, I had $300 extra every month that I could pay toward my other loans. I was really excited. I was overjoyed. There was no we, it was just me at the time. I was making progress. This was exciting to me. And it didn't stop there. That was the moment of change in my life that changed how I saw money, that changed how I saw spending, saving, earning. It propelled me to really go for those promotions, to negotiate a better paycheck, to make waves, understand politics in the office, to go for a new position when we had our first daughter. It gave me a reason to look for higher paying second jobs so I could get rid of all these loans faster and faster. And then once my husband and I were married, before we had kids, but It changed how we looked at finances together. We struggled. We were house poor. That means our house payments were over 25% of our take-home pay. He had a variable income. I was the consistent earner, right? Same paycheck all year long. The only change was HSA designations and if the tax code changed. And so I did the budget. He looked at it and made some changes. We talked about money. We realized we came from very different backgrounds. And for 5 years, we worked through our different backgrounds. We talked about it. We struggled. We laughed together. We did not fight that much about money. I'll be very honest. It's very hard to fight with my husband. He doesn't fight. He doesn't escalate anything. So I'm blessed in that way too. But it changed. It changed what I did. I didn't go out and buy those $12 salads when my coworkers were. I brought my PB&J or I learned not to bring liverwurst sandwich to work, but I brought my lunch to work and people looked at me funny. That's okay. I'm getting out of debt. So that's why eventually those same people who were looking at me funny said, "Why are you doing that?" And I told them. And those same people came back and said, "I have credit card debt. Can you help me figure out how to pay it off?" And that was fun. And then other people came by and said, I have student loan debt. Can you help me figure out how to pay that off? And that was even more fun. So yes, this is why, because I've figured out and I've lived how to become debt free. I found that rock bottom in the bottom of a fruit salad bowl, which is so, I know that sounds so idiotic, but it was big for me. I couldn't afford even the littlest thing. If you're there, join us. Climb out, get out of debt. I have very affordable programs that work for lots and lots of people. I have free courses that teach you how to do the basics. It took me a long time to learn it by myself, but it wasn't by myself. I had mentors, people who were there and turned around and gave me a hand up. That's what I'm offering you here. You have a hand up. Come join us. Get out of debt. Figure out how freeing it is. What could you do if you didn't have those payments? That's why. If you have any questions, drop them right down in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything. I'll talk to you later.